Welcome back, it's 9, and today we have a few things to discuss. We have the Silent Hills rumored PS5 game that we did not see at the event, and kind of discussing what happened there. We also have to discuss The Last of Us 2 reviews and some positive light on that, and also some things that analysts were saying regarding the PS5 and the Xbox Series X. But before we get into that, please subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell to get notified about all my upcoming videos. Hit that like button. It helps the channel a ton. Now let's get started with the Silent Hills rumored PS5 game. So as we know, it did not make an appearance at the PS5 event. And of course, you know, it was rumored. There was a lot of talks about it. Everybody was getting excited about it. And unfortunately, it didn't make a showing. Now, Jim Ryan had already said that this was just a glimpse of the PS5 software lineup. So I think that kind of just lets us know, hey, if we didn't see something that we were expecting, that we may see it sometime this summer. I would hope so. I mean, they did say they wanted to do multiple events for the PlayStation 5 just leading up to launch. And that was said in the original PS blog post when they discussed the event that just passed on Thursday. Now, this rumor was started by a guy named Dusk Golem, and he had said 100% certainty that Konami was shopping the Silent Hill series around and that development had started in 2019 with a Japanese developer. He didn't reveal any exact studio that was working on it, but to kind of defend him in this case, Resident Evil Village was something that he talked about and speculated, and it turned out to be exactly as he said it was. So that makes people believe that he's got some credibility, that he must be knowing what he's talking about. So it's a positive thing in that regard, and I think that maybe we are going to see Silent Hills sooner rather than later. And also to remember, you know, it seemed like Sony was going for a variety show. They didn't want to show too much of the same genres, right? So we got our Dark Souls. But there was also rumored a Bloodborne for PS5. So maybe that's why we didn't see it, but we could also see it in another event. And Silent Hills could be the exact same thing where we got Resident Evil and maybe another event they'll show Silent Hills, especially with the summer just starting and we got so much time in between now and when the PS5 will drop. So that's a positive thing to keep in mind. On to the next topic. This comes from Push Square. The Last of Us 2 reviews make it one of the best rated PS4 games ever. So The Last of Us 2, we've talked about it before, that it got a lot of hate. The hate was definitely, I believe, a vocal minority. Without a doubt, whenever leaks happen and there's a hate wagon that comes along, it's almost always a vocal minority, and people end up that actually care about the game go and buy it, and it does really well. And The Last of Us Part 2 is clearly one of those games. And it shows. I mean, it shows with the reviews. It shows with the pre-orders. It's going to show with the overall sales by the end of the first week that the game is out. I think this game is going to do really well. It topped Spider-Man in terms of pre-orders, and now it has become the best-rated PS4 game ever. So I think this is going to be one of those games that will make a huge difference. And we're going to really see it once it finally drops and people get their hands on it, right? Obviously, a small group of people have been playing it, and once it's available to us all, we'll get to really see, is this truly one of the greatest games on a PlayStation platform? Which, personally, I think that it's going to be a very good game. I don't know that it's going to be my favorite PS4 game, but I think I will personally enjoy it. I have it pre-ordered, and I will definitely be putting out a review on that for you guys to check out. So keep an eye out for that. On to our last topic, and this is titled, Market Research Firm Claims PlayStation Events Generate a Higher Interest than Xbox Events. And in other news, the sky is blue. Obviously, PlayStation has a way bigger following. It's got a lot of clout around it. Obviously has the games. It's just overall, PlayStation has always been ahead of Xbox in terms of generating hype, generating interest, even back in the times of the PS3 in the beginning versus the Xbox 360 when they were at an all-time high. I think the PS3 still brought in that hype and interest rates that, you know, that the Xbox just can't do. And I think a part of that is the history of the PlayStation brand, right? We have a brand that, number one, has a following that has grown with them, I would say, right? Like, I owned a PlayStation 1. I was quite a young guy. And now as an adult, I've grown with the library and the way it's changed. And it's definitely, I've stuck with it. And I think that I'm definitely not the only one that feels that way. And that's probably what PlayStation really has going for it when it comes to retaining customers, when it comes to retaining people. It seems that that's just the one thing that they have that Xbox doesn't have. And it's something that Xbox can't really obtain because of PlayStation's history. Now, I'm not surprised by this at all. And I would be shocked if anybody was surprised by this. You know, the PS5 is going to be probably one of the most anticipated consoles, especially after what happened with the PS4. It's selling so much, having such great games, and just having the most success a console could ask for, aside from obviously the PlayStation 2. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, right? Obviously, Xbox has a lot to offer. They have a lot of great studios and a lot we haven't seen yet. So Xbox is kind of a wild card right now. So I guess we're going to see exactly what happens as the generation, or as we go into next generation. I don't see anything changing. PlayStation just has the games, and I think they will for the foreseeable future. But I think Xbox can make a difference if they really have something new to show from their first parties. It's something they're lacking. And there's no two ways about it. It's just something they're lacking, and they need to make a difference on that. Continuing the article, though, it says market research firm DFC Intelligence has said that consumer interest in Xbox events pale in comparison to PlayStation events, and for now, the company continues to predict a sales advantage for Sony. This does not surprise me. I think that going into next gen, it will make a huge difference in terms of price, right? Like if we're talking hundreds of dollar difference, yeah, you know, Sony may have a little bit more trouble selling more units, but I just don't see that being the case. In other parts of this article, they're talking about DFC analysts think PS5's lineups look solid so far. They believe nothing earth-shattering has been revealed, but added that Sony might be holding off on big announcements and surprises, which we talked about earlier in the video. That's not all their cards, right? That's not all their games that they're going to have. I think they have a lot more to come, and we're going to see it throughout the summer for sure, no doubt about it. The article continues and says that Microsoft has an advantage over Sony in terms of market cap, which gives the company plenty of investment opportunities to build a killer lineup. Another advantage that analysts think Xbox has over PlayStation is its Game Pass system. Game Pass has over 10 million subscribers versus only 2.2 million for PlayStation Now, wrote DFC. Our testers love Game Pass, but we have had a hard time finding people to try PlayStation Now. Instead of being a shoddy streaming service a la PlayStation Now or Google Stadia, Game Pass lets you download full games for both console and PC. Yes, Game Pass has more subscribers, no doubt about that. But I think when people buy a console, it's not about Game Pass, it's not about PlayStation Now. I would be hard-pressed to find somebody who literally bought an Xbox because of Game Pass and only Game Pass, or somebody who bought a PlayStation only because of PlayStation Now. It just doesn't make sense. These services are both on PC. There's no point in buying a console just for those reasons. I think that it's going to be a pretty one-sided generation again, as far as what we know right now. Microsoft has some great services. I would argue that Microsoft has the best services, but what they don't have is the best games. What they don't have is the best first-party studios. They just don't, right? I'm a big fan of Halo, love Gears of War, love Forza, love Fable, love a lot of their different IP, but at the end of the day, PlayStation just offers more, and on top of that, they have the Japanese support, which is a pretty big deal for somebody like me who loves JRPGs. It's going to be interesting to see what happens going into next gen. I think this market research firm makes sense to an extent, right? Like I do definitely agree that interest is always been higher for PlayStation. There's no doubt about that. Of course it has. But I also think that they're a little delusional if they think that the people buying these consoles care that much about Game Pass and PlayStation Now. That's not the driving factor, but I think it is the cherry on top. 100%. I'm a big fan of Game Pass, and to be honest, it is better than PlayStation Now in my opinion, but they're also two very different services. I think people constantly like to compare them, but they are very different. PlayStation Now is more of a streaming service. Game Pass is not a streaming service. I would say xCloud is probably a better comparison to that. But anyway, you guys gotta let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think the Silent Hills game is real? Do you think we're actually going to see this sometime this year? How do you feel about this Last of Us 2 reviews? Are you as excited as I am to play this game? Because I'm definitely looking forward to it. And what do you make of this whole Analyst thing on the PlayStation 5 versus the Xbox Series X? Let me know in the comments. As always, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell to get notified about all my upcoming videos. Follow me on Twitter. Link will be in the description. Share this video with a friend, and I will talk to you guys on the next one. Take care.